Alright, what's going on? My name is Domestius. I've been playing Elemental and a lot of other specs and classes for about 10 years now. A couple of months ago I put out a video that was just like a general Mythic Plus guide for Season 3 for Elemental. And I also went into a new build that I started to play with the Deeply Rooted Elements Legendary, Master of the Elements, and Necrolord. So I thought I would just make a bit of an updated video, I guess, for Season 4, and hopefully as well go into the rotation a little bit more as well, because it's definitely a little tricky sometimes. There are some grey areas to the rotation. Since the video I put out a couple of months ago, it looks like a lot of people have looked into the build and started playing it, which is really awesome to see. So I thought I would just put out this video for Season 4. So first of all, the builds that we can play in Mythic Plus. So obviously, I mean, we've got two and a half, I guess, builds that we can play. So first build is just going to be the Echoes build, and you can play either Night Fae or Necrolord with this build. The talents you're going to want to run are these talents every time, and the soulbinds. So if you're Night Fae, you're going to just want to play Karen with Call of Flame, First Strike, and Shake the Foundations if it's fortified, Essential Distraction if it's tyrannical, usually. Depending on the dungeon a little bit, but that's usually what you want to go for. And then if you're Necrolord, you're going to want to go for this guy usually. So if you're playing Echoes or DRE, this stuff stays the same. It's like just this or this, that's it. In my last video I mentioned this guy and I kind of recommended playing him, but Marilith is actually like on par in general for overall. It's usually better single target, and these two things here are very powerful that kind of add to its value as well. First of all, this one, like, there are a lot of different mob types that you can walk over to get this bonus, and the really good bonuses are intellect and magic damage, and you get those a lot, I think, in Upper Kara, so it's very, very strong. And this as well here, it's you get an immunity to most CC while you're channeling Fleshcraft, which is really, really strong. You can immune a lot of like knockbacks and pull-ins and stuns and that sort of thing, and you can also immune really major mechanics. Like this mechanic here in Streets First Boss. If you get this mechanic, you can channel Fleshcraft. If you're channeling while his cast ends or while his channel ends or whatever, you won't get the mechanic. So that's extremely strong. So yeah, they're the main builds that we play, and in terms of gear and stats, so first of all, I guess with stats, like, honestly, I'll switch back to my DRE stuff actually. Honestly, with stats, any like crit, haste, and verse are all really good, and like none of them are sort of like insanely better than the other. So when you get to super high keys, you're probably gonna need to stack verse anyway, so at that point it kind of just becomes like, you don't really worry about your stats for damage, you're just stacking verse. But yeah, anything like these three stats are all good. There isn't really like a certain amount of any stat that you need. Like, you generally, especially for fortify, you do want like a decent amount of crit, I suppose, but like other than that, like, I really wouldn't split hose over it. Mastery is the only one that you want to kind of avoid, I guess, but even Mastery is like pretty good for single target anyway, so like, work Tyrannical Workshop or something, it'll be fine. And in terms of your gear, like, I mean, in general, I go through simming a little bit in my last video, I won't go through that too much, but it's pretty much just like whatever sims the best, as long as it has these three stats. And you're obviously going to want to wear the tier set. And in terms of like BIS items, so for the weapon, as far as I know, you're going to want the Rygalon dagger and this shield, I think, because I think this shield is the only shield offhand you can get at 311. I might be wrong, but if there's another item you can get at 311, then that's fine. For the rings, you're probably going to want the Mechagun ring set, the one that procs haste. Pretty sure that will just be what you want. Like, yeah, I think one of the rings is heavy crit, low haste. The other ring is heavy haste, low mastery, so that's fine. And for trinkets, so with trinkets this season, we obviously have like a lot of different options. From what I can tell, the best trinkets at the moment, this one here, Scars of Fraternal Strife off Jailer, Fraternal Strife rather, extremely powerful. And then for your second one, you're probably going to want either this, a hymnal, or the KT trinket, or the Deteriorated Construct Core. I hope I'm saying that correctly, but the one that's out of Upper Karazhan, it seems to be simming extremely well. I have not looted one yet, but it seems to be really good. So those are the main trinkets you're going to want to go for. If you're doing like a Tyrannical Workshop or Upper or something, you can also think about like Dreadfire Vessel or Glyph of Assimilation. Alternatives to all these trinkets as well, you can think about the Soul Igniter from Castle Nathir. That's also good, but you're probably going to want to go for it like one on-use trinket and one passive trinket. First Sigil as well, actually, I forgot to mention. In my last video I said it was like pretty much BIS, but like with this season we have a lot more options that seem to be performing better than it, especially this one. So this 285 Scars seems higher than my this seems higher than a 304 First Sigil for me on AoE and single target. So so yeah, we've got quite a few options there. And in terms of the Shrouded buff, so I don't think you want to go for Verse. I don't think many people pick Verse actually, because you obviously get half as much Verse as you do for Crit and Haste. But if you're playing Echo's Corraine, I would probably go Haste, because you want to be careful that you don't reach like crit cap. If you're playing Echo's Necrolord, I would probably go Crit. If you're playing DRE, I would probably go Haste most of the time. Crit is also good, especially the more AoE there is in the dungeon, because you've definitely still got a lot of earthquake damage, but you know, it's not going to make a massive difference. So either crit or haste, usually haste though. So yeah, in terms of simming, I won't go into that too much, but like I mentioned in the last video, you pretty much just want to go 1 boss cleave ad, 2 boss cleave ad, 5 boss cleave ad, and sort of do those sims and like make a decision on the gear that you need to wear based off the dungeon. You need to be careful though when you're simming DRE. So as far as I know, DRE does not have like an AoE APL. I might chat to the guys and see if they can make one, but I don't know if it's necessary. But like, if you sim DRE and AoE, it's just gonna like cast Chain Lightning most of the time, and like Lava Burst once just demote the Earthquake, so that's obviously not like how we play the build. So you just need to be careful. Like if you're simming Echoes and AoE, I think it should be fine, but with DRE, just once you sim past like maybe 3 or 4 targets, you just need to like keep that in mind and just look at the HDLMO report and just see what it's doing. And yeah, for utility, I go through it in my last video. I won't go through it again, but like we have a lot of different utility that we can use that's quite good in Keystones. So yeah, so I thought now I'd try and go into the rotation a little bit. I'll try and show you, I'll hit the dummies and show you what you sort of do on single target and what you do in AoE, and then I'll show you some recordings as well. So are we running the right stuff? Let's see. Looks good. Okay, so single target is like pretty straightforward. Like it's similar to, you know, how you'd play it in Raid or whatever. You're going to want to make sure that you moat all your Earth Shocks and moat all your Stormkeeper Lightning Bolts as well. And use that obviously. And sometimes you're going to get a DRE proc. I might not get one to actually show you because I might just be unlucky, but when you get a DRE proc, you actually don't want to spend. So sometimes you'll get a DRE proc when you're already high on Maelstrom. you want to actually just keep lava bursting and not spend earth shock. I'm pretty sure that's the case anyway, because like obviously when you're in Ascendance, lava burst hits like a truck, and you're going to like one cast of lava burst during Ascendances on average, including like potential overloads and all that sort of thing, going to do more damage than an earth shock global. So hopefully I can just show you at some point. I might just not get a prop, but sometimes on single target you'll just be like, especially if it's like a boss and you're in last and you have a lot of haste, you might just be like sitting at max maelstrom just like firing out lava bursts, and that's the correct play. But yeah, I don't appear to be getting a proc to actually show you, but that's fine. Fleshcraft as well, like, oh, here we go. So if this happened, you just do this. And it's more damage. Scarspringer is killing me, so I'll just put AG. So yeah, that's single target, fairly straightforward. And let's say we're going into an AoE pack. You want a Stormkeeper early, because you don't really want Stormkeeper to interfere much with like DRE procs, if you can. So you also, however, want to give your tank time to get aggro. So let's say we're going, oh, hang on, let's just wait for this to end. Let's say you're going into a pack. You just Stormkeeper the tank's getting aggro. Okay, well, if that happens, that might be an issue. But you Flame Shock on CD. Sometimes this is going to happen as well. You'll be in a bit of a rush to sort of get rid of your storm charges. But anyway, you can also pop your Scar Sprinkler. That's going to do AoE damage around me soon. And then you can Primordial Wave. You want a Primordial Wave so it at least hits like, it's like at least a triple duplicate, if you know what I mean. Like, so you get at least 30% haste, but you can definitely go for more. And basically what we're doing is spreading Flame Shock, casting Lava Burst, and casting Earthquake. That's mainly what we're doing. We're also going to get near the mobs here. There we go, big hit. So Earthquake is basically always going to be naturally moat buffed because of how we play the build. Stormkeeper's up, so we'll just do that as normal. There we go. Primordial Wave is up, so we're going to use that. No problem. Lava Burst is capped at 6 targets, keep that in mind. So if you use it on a 7th, one of your others will just disappear. Sometimes that'll happen as well. What just happened here, where you won't actually get a DRE proc for a while, and it won't refresh. Therefore, your Flame Shocks are just going to time out. It's unfortunate when that happens, but sometimes when that happens, the pack's dying anyway, or sometimes you just need to like kind of manually put them out again. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Spreading Flame Shocks, Lava Bursting for Fisher procs, and casting Earthquake. You do Chain Lightning a little bit sometimes, mainly at the start of pulls, however, when your Flame Shock count is low. You want to also try and avoid Lava Beaming. It's like not, like as far as I know, Lava Beam actually does the same damage as Chain Lightning anyway. So you're better off just like, you know, Lava Bursting like the prior target and just hoping for more DRE procs. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Use the Meteor as well, I guess. Doesn't do much damage, but whatever. So that's pretty much the AoE rotation and the single target rotation. I hope I've showed that well enough. So I'll just see if I can bring up some recordings now and show you a bit of gameplay. Let's see. So this is Gambit 25. I'll try and just go through a bunch of different stuff. This is also, some of this is from a Twitch VOD as well, so sorry if the quality is not too good. So yeah, spreading Flame Shock, Stormkeeper early, Primordial Wave, we've got a reset as well. and filling with Earthquake. So like Night Fae Rain is like probably gonna do better at like this sort of initial like burst sort of stuff, but like DRE is like generally better at everything else. Got the trinket there going. So I think the mobs actually die before I get it off. Or maybe they don't. There's an Ascendance proc. I'm gonna walk into melee. Yeah, trinket only hit a couple of things, but that can happen as well. There we go, it did pretty well on that pack. Let's go ahead. Just flame shocking everything, lava bursting as much as you can. And I will show this build as well. This is a good example of just like what you do going into a pack. So we're Stormkeepering early so it doesn't interfere with like procs later on. It's going to give the tank time for aggro though. Some Earthquakes here I don't actually moat. It's like you usually do want to moat all of them, but sometimes it's just a bit awkward to moat some. You kind of just want to like cycle through the maelstrom. I'm not really sure, but anyway. Just pretty much everything that I showed on the dummies. Flame shock spread, lava burst, there's the trinket blowing up. Aftershock procs are going to happen as well, you just need to deal with that. You can usually still just like moat the earthquake after your aftershock as well. Gonna earthbind here for the tank. Gonna need to do that a lot. And this pull as well is a good example. Let's see. This is quite a big pull. Stormkeepering early. Start our flame shock spread. This is last as well actually. Stormkeeper. Yeah, see some of those aren't moated, those earthquakes. It's fine I guess. We got a proc there, then we're going to Primordial Wave that one and then manually Flame Shock that one. I think I get another proc here soon. We obviously don't come close to the Destro, but you know, they're Warlocks. And yeah, that pull went okay, I guess. And then boss damage as well, like I think I top on this boss, like obviously with this build it's a lot better boss damage than Echoes, which is just so much better on Tyrannical weeks as well. I mean like I mentioned earlier, I play this build in like most keys these days, especially Tyrannical. Last season, I can't remember if I mentioned this before, but like last season I basically came to the conclusion that DRE was definitely better in Spires, like absolutely better in there. But everywhere else, Echoes and DRE were like kind of similar. But this season, the dungeon pool, there are dungeons that are quite similar to Spires in terms of like, you know, how the pools are and the mob count and stuff, like Upper and Workshop. So I think this build is really going to take off this season and I'm excited. For example, like Grimrail, this boss, I will never play Echoes in this dungeon simply because of this first boss. I don't know how like you would play Echoes in this boss, but these bosses just move around like everywhere, and like your Earthquake is just gonna get like, it's gonna be awful. I don't know, like it's also a perfect boss for Necro DRE as well, perma 2 target. So yeah, I mean this is just me. I would never play Echoes in this dungeon, definitely, because of this boss. And you can see that, I mean, DRE, like if I go to the end, I mean this is the damage I'm doing with DRE on this boss. Like it's, you know, it's perfect. And then the rest of the key as well is like pretty good for the build. Like I honestly, like the DRE build is going to work anyway. I think I'm like I mentioned in my last video, like Generally, it's going to be better in higher keys, like because the mobs are going to live for longer, like in general. But you can pretty much make it work like anywhere. It's going to be better in some dungeons than others, but like it's pretty good just everywhere, honestly. Let's see, what else do we have? Yeah, we can skip that. Yes, I mean I've showed AoE and cleave, I guess, recordings of that. I did want to show you a couple of bosses in upper before I go as well. Where are we? So this is upper 25. Yeah, okay, so we're finishing off trash here. Even this trash of a pull as well, like, you know, I got quite a few procs and some promo wave resets, I think, and pretty much keeping up with the other two DPS. But this is another example of a boss where just like Necrolord DRE is just like perfect for it. You can also see here, like I mentioned earlier, magic and intellect from Merilith. Like, it's so strong. So yeah, the ad's going to spawn, we primordial wave it, we get a reset as well, which is excellent. We're going to want to save Stormkeeper for the boss damage phase and also pot as well. Need to be careful with your astral shift usage. Probably use it if there's like 2 or more ads out. We're going to use our scars here as well. It's going to blow up during the damage phase. I think I use it slightly early though, because you do want, I mean, if you're using it perfectly, you want to have it so it like blows up just as the damage phase is ending, but I don't really do that. I do it a bit too early, but well, very early actually. Anyway, so here we go. Stormkeeper, what as well. Yes, that's unfortunate, but anyway. And then we get a proc, and here we're just going to keep lava bursting because on it's going to be more damage than doing an earth shock. But right as this phase ends, we're going to want to earth shock just to finish it off. Add spawns, primordial wave, Plaguey's preemptive strike as well. It's like really strong on this boss. The one that's on the to the right on the top of Merilith. There's another ad, flame shock it. There's a proc. Flame shock that one. I think we actually get 3 damage phases. Yeah, I was in trouble there. I got a nice GS. Primordial waves up. I think this lines up a little bit with the damage phase. Yeah, it does. So I'm going to primordial wave. Perfect. And a proc as well. So we've got haste here and proc and Stormkeeper, which is a bit awkward. But I was able to use both charges without compromising my procs too much, I guess. Earth shock just at the end. You're going to want to AG as well at some point. So I just do it here. Always focus on the ads, obviously. And you know, you can see the damage that we're doing. Like it's very, like, this build is very good for this fight. Flame shock that one, and then I think one spawns behind me here, and I just primordial wave it. Pop my shift as well. Here we go, primordial wave that one. We get 2 resets here, I think. Yeah, so that's 2. There's a third. Flame shock that one. And then I think we get the damage phase soon, and the boss just dies. Yep, here we go, boss dead. So yeah, very, very good setup for that boss. And then I'll just quickly show you Curator as well. Oh, not Curator. Medivh. I think that first boss was called Curator. I might be wrong. Anyway, here's Medivh. Where are we? So this is more like a single target kind of showing, I guess. on this boss, you're going to make sure that you have Astral Shift for the Guardian's Image. So Guardian's Image is the most difficult part of this boss. It's the part that just does the most damage to everyone in general. For Flame Wreath, you kind of like... I don't know, you could maybe Astral Shift earlier in the fight, and then if you're priest symbols, then you can have it up, I think, for other stuff. But as long as you have Astral Shift for Guardians, that phase. Like, if Flame Wreath, you probably just want to, like, I don't know, healing stream and, like, heal yourself a little bit. But, I mean, it depends on your healer. But my healer on this occasion wanted to make sure that everyone had their Pursuls for Guardian phase. You want to make sure you save Spirit Walker's Grace for this phase. Okay, so you get this phase. So you can just still damage, fine. You can just jump up and down or walk around or whatever you want to do. And just kick according to whoever's calling kicks. I think we get the Guardian's phase soon. And for the Guardian's phase, you want to make sure... Yeah, okay, so I have Flame Wreath here. Very scary, but he was adamant that he wanted to save our Pursuls for Guardians. And he healed us very well. So for the Guardian's phase, you're going to want to make sure that you have Primordial Wave, and you want to make sure that you have AG. So you need to... I'll show you when it starts, I guess. I think it's very soon. Oh, here's an Ascendance proc, and we're just going to blast it full Maelstrom. Okay, so we Fleshcraft just for a bit while nothing's there, and then we begin. So you're going to want to triple Primordial Wave into AG, and the group will get topped here. Here we go. There's the group topped. Obviously, we have the 30% haste going as well. When it starts as well, you're going to want to interrupt one of the first range kicks because the melee will be getting the melee kick. And just, you know, as many interrupts as you possibly can during this phase. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope I've shown a little bit more than my last video, at least, like how the build sort of works in both single target and AoE. You know, I think... Oh! Okay, I'm dead. I think, yeah, I think the build is, like, really competitive to Echoes. It's obviously a lot more enjoyable, and so many people have started to play it as well, which is really cool to see. I think I will just continue to play DRE in most keys. I think it performs really well, and I guess before I go as well, in terms of the meta, it's a similar situation to last season. Like we're pretty, like, we're middle of the pack. We're not amazing, but we're also not bad. Like, we're pretty solid. We bring a lot of good utility to the group as well. You know, we bring a lost as well. But yeah, it's a similar situation. Like the meta at this stage, at least, it does look to be sort of Warlock, Survival, Windwalker. But we do have some mages and rogues coming in, it looks like, but it's very early in this season. So we'll have to see how we go. And like, yeah, I mean, in terms of Elemental, I'm keen to, you know, push as hard as I can with the time that I have, and yeah, see what I can do. And looking forward to seeing what other Elemental Shamans can do as well. So so that's pretty much it. That's all I had. Like, thank you so much for watching the video. I really appreciate it. I stream on Twitch a little bit as well. That'll be in the description with some other socials as well. But yeah, if anyone has like any questions or comments, or if there's anything I said in the video that's like mental, just let me know in the comments or in the socials. I'd be keen to hear from you. And yeah, I encourage everyone to play the game, have fun, and have fun with this DRE build as well. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I appreciate it. See ya.